Okay, as you guys all know, I do not train with real guns. Train for what? Well, my purpose is to improve my accuracy. Beyond that, I have no fucking clue what I might possibly need a gun for in the future. I don't know in the future if somebody will even leave me a weapon that I know how to use. Now, who says it's a weapon? That depends on your purpose. When you call it a weapon, a lot of people, it immediately starts going through their head that you want to use it on a human being. Well, if that's your definition of weapon, ugh, a hunting weapon is still a weapon. Now, my personal definition is that a weapon is anything that you can use to fucking defend yourself. That's for my brain. Even when I was physically able to do all this shit that people expect of me, yeah, my brain was still more important. Now that I can't do all that physical stuff, my brain is a lot more important. I'm watching these guys, they're learning and practicing small unit tactics. A lot of times it's the first time they ever met up with somebody. Small unit tactics, as far as defending yourself in your home, small unit tactics would be family tactics. We all know about Ruby Ridge. What happens if you teach kids how to shoot, and let's say instead of the Ted Bollinger type, you've been talking about how if anyone put your kids at risk, you'd put a 45 between their eyes, didn't you? But then in that situation, was it Ted Bollinger or one of his cronies that showed up? No, it was Officer Michael Beard. What's that mother of two, that single mother of two, going to do in that scenario? She's not intimidated by Ted Bollinger at this point. She's intimidated by the fucking cops. See, that's one of the biggest things I got with most of these people who claim they were going to help me, that they fucking bullshitted the whole goddamn time. When other people did fucked up shit, these people didn't go after the ones that did the fucked up shit. They came after me. Sean, it's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. No, the fuck it ain't. I didn't make Michael Beard's decisions. I didn't make your landlord's decisions, and I sure as fuck didn't make yours. Now, I see these idiots, and I do consider them idiots. I see them out there wanting to practice, having this dream that someday World War III might happen and they'll get to shoot somebody. Yo, gross. There's a lot of stuff that people think is important. When it all comes down to it, they always forget to pack the salt. Every fucking time without fail. Now, the reason that a lot of people are able to do the things they can, like look at professional athletes, for example, their reflexes are faster than yours, a lot faster. Like your reaction time in that situation is 1/3 what theirs is or less. Why is that? Are they really superior? Were they born superior? Were they great at this from day one? No. No, they weren't. The first time you tried throwing a ball, you sucked at it. Probably the first 100 times you tried catching a ball, you dropped it. It's muscle memory. The more you practice, the faster you are. Now these guys, they're out there with M16 looking rifles and shit like that. Like, hell no, you cannot conceal that. My recommendation for every single woman out there, here's the problem with my recommendation. If I say that every single woman out there should get a concealed carry permit, there's a lot of women out there who should not be allowed to touch firearms. And it's the same for men. The reason that I bring up women, however, is because those are the ones that people seem to care about. You talk about men defending themselves, and people are like, whatever. Also, men are less likely to carry something that they can even conceal it in. For a man, it would be, as far as non-thugs go, I should point that out. I know that a lot of working class folks wear tight clothes or semi-tight clothes so they don't get their clothing stuck in machinery. There's nowhere to hide the thing. Now, if people can see it, they're much less likely to give you issues. Although, you also have to deal with the fact that there are people who are going to come out of the woodwork and accuse you of being a murderer because you own a firearm, just because they saw it. In that particular scenario, these people get very scary. You have a gun on your side, and these people are coming up to you trying to intimidate you, and they're trying to harass you, and they're trying to make you feel as uncomfortable as possible. Why is this? Is this because you're a bad person for owning a firearm? No, it's because this person is unfucking educated. It's because this person lives a spoiled fucking life. And I always like to grab the liberal thing now, just because there are so many people that just hate the fuck out of liberals. Why do I pick liberal? Because I can replace it with Republican or Democrat. Whichever one you are, I put in there. The most effective thing that they can get in these scenarios is a pistol. Male or female, doesn't matter. There's a lot of stuff that you don't want to do. You don't want to put this thing on, even if it's fucking cold. You don't want to put it on like this when you got something that looks like this in your hands. Now, obviously, orange tip, not a real rifle. Obviously. The thing weighs less than a pound. Now, when you're training, I don't do anything right. I'm a hell of a shot, but I don't hold anything right. I don't fucking aim right. I see a lot of shooters, they keep both their eyes open when they're shooting. I close one eye and I keep this one open. I can use both eyes to do that, though. I'll show you what I mean. This is with this eye right here. Maybe pop the stock out. Well, the stock on this does not drop as low as my 303. Matter of fact, it's in line with the barrel, which explains why I can't do such a thing on this one. Not only was I wrong, but I got to be wrong in front of all of you. That does happen from time to time, doesn't it? It's got a sling on it, and this isn't an actual sling. It's from a DeWalt grease gun. That's not the actual gun grease gun, but this is an actual DeWalt that you hook up to the grease zerks on your car or on your skid loader or on your stump grinder. You guys probably don't have a fucking stump grinder, but you get the point. I mean, it's for putting grease on the parts of your machines that you need grease in. This thing right here, when I put my arm in it, I like to have stability, and I like to be able to shoot while walking, which I'm pretty good at. Walking fire, by putting my hand in there and wrapping it around the sling, sticking my elbow way out sideways, I'm able to get a lot of stability with it. And just one little trick like that can help you to, well, assist yourself a lot in a survival situation. But most of y'all aren't going to encounter a military style survival situation. If you got an AR-15 for hunting, good on you. It is a good fucking hunting rifle. I will give you that. A lot of folks swear by 308, but no, 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 no. When it comes to dropping the animal and getting your dinner, good enough is good enough. There ain't no reason for overkill. That does a lot of impact on the animal, and it has a lot of impact on the meat. Go for a clean shot. That requires accuracy. It doesn't require something fucking huge. It's kind of like if you're out getting hummingbirds for fucking dinner. Say that's the only thing you got around. You better hope that a 50 cal isn't the only gun that you have, because a 50 cal will make sure and guarantee that you get nothing. You shoot a rabbit with a 50 cal, you end up with nothing. Well, I guess you could eat it, but there's one of the unsafe things about hunting animals or getting meat is if you nick the intestines. As y'all know, that's where you keep your poop. Poop is probably not a good thing to ingest. So once you've shot something with something like that, basically you've blown the thing into two pieces that are about 20 yards away from each other. And all that dookie and all of that rolling once they hit the ground, it's really just, you don't want to do it. Now, I got a lot of people out here that I know, they like to go shoot. Some of them like going target shooting, but a lot of the younger folks, they're just obsessed with fucking killing. They're like, oh, there's a coyote, I want to kill it. Oh, there's a rabbit, I want to kill it. When it comes to survival, you can go to the fucking grocery store. There's no need for you to hunt. Now, if you live in the mountains, there's a need for you to hunt. If you live in the city, it costs you more to go hunting than you're ever going to get in meat. And most people, you know, you do this. You go out hunting and you say it's about sustaining yourself, and then you fucking now got 3 freezers that are all full of deer meat because you never fucking eat it. You never fucking cook it. You end up giving it away to the food banks or your friends, and they have it sit in their fucking fridge forever until they run out of meat, and they're in a fucking snowstorm and they're going, fuck. When it comes to self-defense, a lot of people swear by shotguns, especially for home invasions. I do have the stuff to stimulate somebody coming in with a shotgun or somebody having a shotgun. I have an airsoft that it'll only shoot one BB, but it'll show you where the pattern is. When it comes to utilizing anything like that, you do not want to have or handle such a dangerous tool without somebody present to teach you. If you are an adult, it's still not okay to go out with a firearm unsupervised. There's a reason for this. You have no fucking clue what you're doing. You're a danger to yourself. You're a danger to others because you have no clue what you're doing. There's one lady, she was swearing up and down, I'll never own a gun, I'll never own a gun, I'll never own a gun. Now she's got a concealed carry permit. That happened just in the last 3 years. What changed? If you bring a weapon and you have it in your purse, a lot of you ladies, you have purses that have a clasp and things like that. When there's somebody who's scary to you, you undo the clasp, you put your hand in there. And I've seen a few women do this. Now, Sometimes it's pepper spray, but you never know. It might be a firearm. Just the fact that you stuck your hand in there is enough for them to start thinking, hey, maybe she does. But then there are some people that once they see you do that, they're not going to wait to see if you're bluffing. They're just going to pounce on you. Undoing that clasp, that's kind of what screws you. They hear it. If you get a purse that has a magnetic closure, because you do want a closure. If your purse is open and you have a concealed carry permit and you have that in there, there are people who are going to get paranoid. They're going to call the cops. The cops are going to show up. They are going to talk to you. There'll be a big fucking scene. So make sure that you have a purse that has a flap. Now, sure, when you put two magnets together, they kind of make a sound. But when you're opening it up, it's fucking silent. There's also this thing called an announcement. If someone is within uh, your comfort level, which in some states it's actually specifically defined by a specific distance. In some cases, it's 8 feet. If you ask someone to get 8 feet away from you, and I think Colorado is that way, if you ask someone to give you an 8 foot distance, they legally have to. Now, if you're in line, they don't. That's one of those things where they have what's called officer's discretion. This is why most of the time when a man is in a domestic violence situation where he's the one being abused, he's still the one that has to worry about going to jail or going to prison or fucking getting railroaded. It don't matter if she beat on him for 30 minutes before he pushed her off. What matters is that the officer has his own thoughts, feelings, opinions, and bias too. We teach boys that it's always a man's fault. That's one of those things where when I explain to you that we teach boys and girls differently, that there really isn't that much of a difference between us. But here in the United States, we try to force as great of a divide as we can between the two sexes. We got to do better. We really do. When it comes to a pistol, you really need to know what the fuck you're doing. There's some safety stuff that if you've never fucking handled one, you're gonna get yourself fucking hurt. Let me take this plastic POS off the wall. First thing you want to do, you want to locate the magazine release. Never, ever point the business end anywhere except for the ground. Never, ever put your finger on the trigger. And I know what you're thinking. Well, you're telling me never to do these things. Well, there are exceptions to the rule. When you are ready to fire, that's when it's no longer pointed at the ground. Unless you're shooting at something that's on the ground, in which case you are shooting at the ground by default, because when you shoot whatever is on it, the ground is on the other side. Bullets go through stuff. So if it's going to go through a rabbit and that bullet is going to make a big dirt dimple on the fucking ground on the other side, I want you to imagine you're in an urban environment. There are people everywhere. Just because you can't see a human being on the other side of that wall doesn't mean there isn't one. I saw some guys in a video of, I think it was Afghanistan, and they take a squad automatic weapon and they spray and pray like 5 or 6 fucking houses because there's a sniper somewhere. They know where the sniper is, but they're not shooting at the sniper. They're too afraid to get that far out there. But there's also the fact that you see a kid, looks like he's maybe 6 or 7, run across the road and go into a house right before the firefighting starts. That house gets sprayed like a motherfucker by this U.S. Marine with a fucking squad automatic weapon, Model 249. Holy shit. Yeah, no, that's fucking stupid. Did somebody ever explain to that soldier that bullets go through walls? In an urban environment, there are a lot of things that you can get now that are not lethal. Now, you may be in a situation where, yeah, lethal force is called for, but you don't have that option. Let's say you're in a daycare or a nursery or a fucking school, for Christ's sake. Let me show you something. Your muscles tend to tense up when you feel the taser going through you. If you got something in your hand, you're probably not going to let it go. It's probably stuck in your hand. If you shoot somebody with a taser and they have a full auto machine gun, it's probably going to empty the entire clip. If you shoot somebody who's only got one round in their gun and they're already an armed gunman, like say Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris, these guys are already shooting people. In that situation, yeah, it's probably okay to shoot them with a taser and keep it on. They're not going to be able to take their finger off the trigger, which means they're not going to get another shot after that. They are stuck to that gun. Also, while you're zapping them, you can be rapidly approaching them. Now, the police are allowed these here taser guns. And I'm going to look them up. These are only for law enforcement. You can't get them. Let's see. Taser gun is a non-lethal defense weapon that can instantly incapacitate an attacker from a distance, also known as a taser or stun gun. And it looks like the Home Security Superstore, I guess they do sell them for self-defense now. It used to be a law enforcement only item, but honestly, it's been a lot of years since I looked it up. If you hit Dylan Klebold or Eric Harris with a taser gun, it'd probably drop them. If it didn't drop them, I can tell you they're not going to have the ability to be effective as long as that shock is going through them. And if teachers are armed with these things, we do have some measure of defense. But an even better idea would be for teachers to have a beanbag round with the same capability. And the police and law enforcement and some of the military agencies out there have these already. They have one version it shoots a goo dart. It's basically like all right. I know you guys don't burp, don't fart, never had a booger in your life, but you know when you get one of them thick fucking boogers, you know the one that just sticks to everything. It's kind of that consistency, and because of that, and because it's got water in it, when it impacts something that might not be able to send the charge through because it's got that liquid to it, it actually makes sure that it does anyway. Now, what's all of this fancy shit got to do with you guys? I mean, the rounds for that are expensive. You probably don't know where to fucking find them. Well, if you're worried about your kids, the first responders are the people who are there at that very moment. If you are hanging out with your mom and dad and you get hit by a fucking car, sure, your parents should have been keeping better fucking tabs on you and you should have been fucking paying better attention. But the first responders on the scene are going to be your parents. If your house light's on fire while you're asleep and your neighbor calls 911, your neighbor is the first responder. If we got some fucking alcoholic trying to fucking harm a little girl under the Boulder fucking public library, yeah, Mobley is probably the guy who's going to do something about it. If it's not Mobley who does something about it, it'll probably be Rabbit that does something about it. If it's not Rabbit that does something about it, it'll probably be Christopher Tapp who does something about it. Now, what do these men have in common? First of all, they're all men. Second of all, they're all on my shit list for being cowards. When it comes to handling a pistol, this is a 1911 style, and of course it's airsoft. It's got the orange tip pointed at the ground, finger on the side, not on the trigger. I should have worn something brighter so you can see it better. And you keep your finger off. This part on top is called a slide. Let me show you something. This part here is called a hammer. When the slide comes back, see how far it moves back? If you got your hand on the back here, like a lot of people do, like, Dirty Harry, Dirty Harry, Dirty Harry, that slide is going to come back and chop your thumb off. And yes, that can happen. I'm not going to show you any of that kind of gore. There are a lot of pictures like that on the internet of people who held it like this. You don't ever want to hold it like this. Hand on the bottom for support. Now me, I pull it in closer. What I do is I take right here where my spare rib is floating. I put my elbow there while my hand is on the bottom here. What that allows me to do is to bring it in sideways. Bringing it in sideways like this, that makes it so that the amount of area that I have facing my target is minimal. When I'm facing you right there, you see how wide my shoulders are? See how broad a target I am? Now, if I turn sideways like this, much smaller target. The other thing is I'm able to keep it at a distance where the slide isn't going to come back and hit me in the eyeball. You don't want to get up real close on it. You will literally shoot your eye out. This one has an extended slide, which is supposed to be for safety. This is supposed to help prevent you from pulling something stupid if you're in a hurry. There's a lot of people that practice with cowboy action pistols, and they have a habit of doing this thing, the Dirty Harry thing. Don't fucking do that. That'll get you into a bad habit, and if you are used to a cowboy action and you hop onto a 911, well, you're going to lose your thumb. A lot of those pictures that they have on the internet are people that did exactly that. They're used to a cowboy action revolver, and now they're missing parts. The magazine release, that's this part right here. Now, there's a lot of parts on here because it's plastic. That are fake. Like this right here is supposed to be a safety, it's a slide catch is what it is. But then there's the safety selector right here for safe and fire. And, there's like on the top, it's got this molded thing that's supposed to look like a real sight. It's obviously not. It's obviously all one molded piece or two molded pieces that are stuck together. But a lot of people, they get this idea that the first time they get a gun in their hand, they're going to be fine. They're going to know what they're doing. Instinct will tell them how to use this thing and they will be magically safe. They will turn into Rambo instantly once they have a firearm in their hands that they have no idea how to fucking use. But a pistol, you can fit into a purse pretty easily. On one of the smaller ones, like the PPS, Um, it still has a slide. The slide is still reciprocating, which means it goes back and forth. So you have the same issues with that as you would have on another one, but you also have the additional issue of if it's a short barrel and it's super small, like my Browning vest pistol was, um, you can literally shoot yourself in the hand because the thing is small enough that as soon as you grab the front of it, like you really need to pay attention to where your finger is because it's tiny. Your fingers extend past the end of the barrel. On this one, they don't. On this one, it's got a big slide. My hands, while I'm holding on to it, it's got a lot of distance between here and here, too. But on a Browning vest pistol, you're talking about something that's only that tall. And it's only that long. Sorry, that long. It's tiny. So it's probably important to get a decent barrel length. If you're going to choose a barrel length, pick something that's longer than your fucking fingers when you put it in your hand. It don't got to be by much. But if you have that in your purse, as long as you're not making a big notice of it, like you don't look at them while you're doing it, you reach into your purse as if you needed something in there, and then maybe you pause for a second, like you're trying to observe something, and you'll pull whatever's in your purse out in a second. What that gives you is the opportunity to have your hand there and ready in case, without setting them off or giving them any signal that you're on edge. A lot of predators, well, they'll catch you when you're on edge because that's when they know that they're about to lose their opportunity. And they don't want to do that. A lot of these people, they stalk for a long fucking time. There's officers in the Boulder Police Department, like Officer French, who have been trying to create a scenario where it is okay for them to kill a homeless person for years. The problem is he can't get it set up perfect. If there was a point where he thought that he had it set up perfect, absolutely he'd take the opportunity to pounce. So it's important not to alert your assailants until there is a reason to alert them. Until you are sure that their intentions are harmful, don't pull anything out and point it at them. Also, there's a swing holster. Basically, what it does is your firearm is always pointed down at the ground. Now, there's pockets on the inside of a lot of purses. If you put a piece of cardboard or maybe keep a notepad with you or something that'll, is about the width of those pockets to keep them rigid, you can actually attach one of those on the inside of your purse. And what it is on the side of your firearm, it's a pin that attaches and it just slides right on out, or you can pivot it. You still have access to it, you can still use it. Um, if you leave it in your purse, though, one thing that you want to pay attention to is that even if it's in a holster, there are things in your purse that can poke it. You might knock the safety loose. You might knock the safety loose, and then it rotates in your purse just a little bit. Your lipstick container gets in there, and next thing you know, you done discharged the goddamn firearm in Starbucks. Don't discharge your firearms in Starbucks. A lot of the problem is you got this trade-off between safety and rapid response. The more safety measures are in place, the less likely you are to have something go wrong on accident. And if you're carrying every day, you have that chance every single day of something going wrong. You have that chance every day that you might get bumped into by a stranger real hard in your purse because they misplaced a step, or you might be going through a door trying to handle your coffee and handle your phone at the same time and smack the edge of the door frame. I mean, there's a lot of things that may not set it off. You never know. So when it comes to that trade-off, it really does depend on where you're at. If you're in public and there's a lot of people there, you're probably not going to need that firearm. If there is a situation where there's hundreds of people and there's an armed gunman and they're not telling you to get down on the ground because it's a political thing or some crap like that, they're just straight up out there shooting people. Well, you have just lucked out because now you do have time that if you have extra safety measures in place, like you have it in a holster, you have the safety on, you don't have the magazine in it, you have it in a different location. Like, let's say you keep the firearm in your purse and the magazine in your back pocket, or maybe you have them in two different pockets. While they're busy blasting away targets, and this sucks to say, yes, there are people who are probably going to die while you're loading that thing up. But while they're busy being distracted by the number of people, that does give you time. Now, when you're in a scenario where you are solo, where it is just you, that is the scenario where those safety measures oftentimes need to come off. That is when you are the easiest to victimize. I know a lot of people who thoroughly enjoy their time alone, but that puts them at risk. It puts them at a higher risk of being targeted. Now, if you're homeless, you're target number one just because easy access. Just like prostitutes at truck stops, easy access. A lot of these serial killers, we talk about how many prostitutes they killed, or a lot of these people who only killed one person, they started off with a prostitute or a homeless person. But we don't have as much interest in the homeless person one because, well, we are taught and trained not to like homeless people. They're the scum of the earth. They're all drug dealers, and rapists, and child molesters, and addicts. You know, I've heard people who've never been homeless spouting that shit their whole lives at me. When it comes to gun safety, one of the most important things that you can do to ensure that you are not going to discharge a firearm on accident is just to not have one. I carry pepper spray. It's in a bright pink fucking container. It's deterrent. However, I'm not someone who's just going to pull this out and spray somebody in the eyeballs. If I was going to do that, I'd have gotten the black one. It's more clandestine, less likely to be noticed. But because it's black, it's likely to get you fucking shot. If you got somebody who's being a fucking douchebag and the cop takes notice, there's a commotion. You're fucking scared shitless of this person. But you're the one, when he looks over, you're the one that he sees pulling something black out of their pocket. This is bright fucking pink. Bright pink. If somebody is close enough to do me damage firsthand, I'm gonna grab this, not a gun. I don't carry a gun. You can catch me any point in time walking down the street. You could literally stop me every single time that I go for a walk and check me for a gun. Every single time. And you will never catch me with a gun. Ever. I don't carry knives either. A lot of people get pissed off at me because I don't carry a knife. When they need one, they're like, "Hey, Schwartz, could I use your pocket knife?" I don't carry a pocket knife. What? You're Nebraskan and you don't have a pocket knife? No. Dude, anything that people can use as an excuse, I don't want to have on my person. Let's say for example, I got a pocket knife and I only use it for utilitarian purposes. Let's say I use it for cutting lanyards or maybe skinning some dinner, who knows. Let's say that's all I ever use it for, and then it goes right back into my pocket. But people know that I have it. And if they do something fucked up or they threaten to kill me, I don't want them saying, "Oh, well, he threatened me with a knife." Now, they can say it, they can describe it. They've seen your knife, they've seen you cutting your apples, they've seen what your knife looks like. So when they try to give a description to the police, they say, "Oh, well, he fucking pulled out a knife and fucking it looked like this, 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 and this." They know what your knife looks like. It doesn't matter that you didn't pull it out. It matters that they're gonna try to cover their own ass. And there are varying degrees of fucking doing stupid shit. There really are. With my mother, she did shit that was so horrible that all she can do to evade prosecution and evade consequences is pretend that she's afraid for her life. Same thing with Natalie Bollinger. See, these people both did horrible shit to me. And there's a lot of conversations on here with a lot of other people who know my family. Yeah, obviously, I am not the only one who agrees with the fact that my family is shit. For the most part, they are not good people. A lot of times people tell me stupid shit. They don't want to hear about my situation. They don't. They don't care. Quite often telling me they don't care. And that sucks. I've had people tell me, "You know what, Sean, I'm not going to fucking hang out with you or talk to you until you make up with your mom. I just hit this real big Christian kick. And, now I'm feeling my fucking oats. And I think that because I'm feeling the power of God, it's my right to judge you and tell you how to think, how to feel, how to live, and who you are and are not allowed to talk to, and who you should or should not be talking to." Every time I trust my mom, she shows me why not to. Every time. She has protected the child molesters. She has protected rapists. She has also extorted hundreds of thousands of dollars from her own family. For her, that money was more important than your children. Here in Chapel, Nebraska, my grandpa raped my mom repeatedly, all growing up. He didn't stop raping my mom until she got married to my dad. But you know what? For years and years and years, my grandpa would hire little girls to go pick rye out in his fields. Years. And he'd sit on his fucking tailgate and watch them like a fucking perv. How many other little girls did my grandpa do shit to and get away with it? Because my mom wanted to make more money. My mom and dad, they liked having me and Eric. That's because they both got paid money for having me and Eric. Wouldn't it be nice if you were one of those parents who figured out how to do that? Oh, my kid's disabled. I can get a fucking paycheck. But then there's the amount of illnesses that I had growing up. On more than one occasion, after a home visit, My caseworker was in there talking to me, giving one of them interviews they give you when they think something is wrong at home. And that's because every time I came back, I was sick. No matter what, I'd go and I'd see my mom, and then I would come back and I'd have strep throat or an ear infection or whatever. Mostly that's because my mom was a smoker. She smoked cigarettes. When I'm trying to tell you guys about this survival shit, I'm trying to impart you knowledge. It's not about the guns. It's not about the ammo. It's about the mental preparedness. And if you understand a scenario, there's a complete difference. A lot of these guys who make these go bags and stuff, there's a big difference between what you think you need and once you're in that situation. You can't prepare for every situation. But you can ask a homeless person, hey, is this good gear? Is there anything that I need? They'll probably tell you socks first. Now, there's some homeless people that are, they became homeless while they were living in Boulder and they pretty much just hang out downtown or they pretty much just hang out over by the campus. That's their comfort area. They're homeless in Boulder. They don't know shit about fucking camping. They just fucking hung out in the city. So if they don't camp frequently, if their idea of um, camping is to sleep behind a dumpster like mine is for a good portion of the year, you're sleeping outside. You've got minimalist gear. If you're up in the mountains, you need just a little bit more gear. There's stuff that you can't carry in town. If you go up the mountains with a hatchet and that's it, you can still go to sleep and be warm. You'll end up covered in bugs, but that hatchet will be enough to sustain you. And as long as you know how to make things, that's all you'll need is that hatchet. But you can't just go walking around with a hatchet in downtown Boulder, can you? There's a time and a place for everything. There really is. If you're carrying a woodsman's axe down the street, and I know this from having to walk through town with an axe to get something done because my vehicle didn't work or I didn't have one, people kind of look at you funny. Now, here in this town, everybody knew I didn't have a vehicle and everybody knew that I was helping out with a lot of people that were tree cutters. And for me to be walking through town with an axe, a lot of people they think I'm different. They think I'm weird. So anything that they look at that you guys might do, if I do it, they look at me with suspicion. Now, I've had a few black people recently tell me, you don't know what it's like when you're walking through a neighborhood. You haven't done anything wrong. And the fucking cops stop you. No, I absolutely fucking do. I absolutely do. And then there's ones that tell me, dude, you don't know what it's like to have to fear for your life when you see the cops. No, I do. I absolutely do. I'm homeless with no family and I'm disabled. Yes, they're more likely to fucking murder me than they are to murder you. People are more likely to call the cops because they're suspicious if it's a homeless person than if it's a black person by a lot. But you don't care about the homeless. So even though you care about black rights and black lives, if it's a black homeless person, they still fall between the cracks. It's kind of like with me. They were able to use my disabilities to deny me the rights of an intelligent person, and then use my intelligence to deny my rights to the disabled person. They did this in every single court date. They flopped back and forth. Whatever made it okay that I wasn't allowed to say anything or show any evidence, but I could still be fucking forced to take the consequences. Here's the problem with me breaking the law. It's all I can do. You see how many phone calls I've made to these son of a bitches for them to blow me off. They say they're gonna, say they're gonna, say they're gonna. You pull your part and they don't do theirs. Oh, I'm not gonna fucking trust you. Are you fucking kidding me? Just with the recordings that I have with these witnesses, these things that they should have come forward with, just that is enough legally. If you're not called mentally ill, that right there is enough legally that I can get a new court date in every single one of my court dates. Every goddamn one. Every charge against me. Every one. Here's the thing. Although I broke the law, and I admit that I have broken the law, if you have to break the law because your life is in immediate danger or somebody else's is in immediate danger, then it's okay to break the law. Imminent loss of life gives you the right to straight up fucking kill somebody. But then again, when you get somebody like me who doesn't believe in killing people, this is going to get me away temporarily. I can't run. So this isn't going to help me get away all that much. Ted Bollinger decides that he's going to go to one of his fucking druggies and get another fucking gun and come after me, or come after Danica, or come after Rochelle Shelley Campbell, or Rose M. Kelly. If he decides to do that, who is it that's going to end up dead? It's going to be me. Or it's going to end up being Danica. Or it'll end up being Rose. Ted Bollinger, fuck, he didn't care that Natalie was fucking dead. He didn't give a shit about her. She was his fuck toy. You see how these officers continually use the mentally ill thing over and over and over again. I try to turn them in, and they instigate and instigate, ignore the crimes against me, and then instigate some more. And then they lie to people like Jen Beebe so they can have me sent to Scotts Bluff for trying to turn them in. Officers nationwide know that they can do this. Every officer in America knows that he can turn off his body camera and rape you if he fucking wants to. If you are called mentally ill, you have a much increased chance of him doing so. If you are called mentally ill and are homeless, well, fuck. Whereas if you come from an upper middle class white family, chances are pretty good you got the money for a fucking lawyer. They'll leave you alone even if you're fucking guilty of sin. All of this happened because people don't understand that just because I'm intelligent doesn't mean that my disabilities magically go the fuck away. I'm different. I'm not attractive. And I'm sick and tired of pretty people who have pretty lives and people who are constantly coming up to them telling them how attractive they are, how cute they are, how pretty they are, bullshitting me like I have the same goddamn opportunities that they do. I fucking don't. Because of a label, I have been victimized for my entire life because of a goddamn label. A very non-descriptive label. A label that is used to blanket a whole bunch of people, a whole spectrum of people. And you put them all into one basket labeled schizophrenic. You cover their mouths so they can't speak. You bind their hands. I'm not going to tell a black man to shut up about what black people have to go through. Unless he's telling me I need to shut the fuck up about what the homeless and the disabled have to go through. Over half of those killed by cops last year were disabled. Almost half of those killed by cops last year were homeless. Your chances of getting murdered by a goddamn cop are a lot greater if you are homeless. Now, according to their own statistics, they claim there's only 400 something thousand homeless people in the United States. That depends on where you look, though. If you're looking at government websites, yeah, they want to make things look better. Oh, look at how much better we're doing. We doctor our numbers every year. Doesn't matter that you doctored the numbers. Those human beings that died still had names. People still remembered them. They were still documented by somebody. The problem with autism is something that's called an invisible disability. Just because you can't see it must mean that it doesn't exist. Isn't that right? You victimize the fucking victims for showing signs of trauma. These cops are trained to know the signs of trauma. So when they're dealing with a homeless person and they're instigating the situation, they know exactly what they're doing. I already knew that the only way that I was going to get an honest day in court, the only way I was going to get someone to actually fucking listen to me, to do something about this ongoing abuse, was if someone went in with me. And all these people made excuses. There's supposed to be government agencies like the Department of Health and Human Services that are created specifically for helping people like me. But they're not going to help people like me. They're created for helping people that have nobody else to go to. But then they ignore those who don't have anyone else to go to. You don't matter. They don't have to do your job when you're alone. Just like any other predator, and yes, I do mean predator. Look how these people treated me. Look how they treated me when the things that they fucked up resulted in me being harmed. And I'm supposed to be fine with this. I'm not supposed to say anything. What I need is for someone to give a shit about me as a human being enough to fight for my fucking rights in person. with the police being harmful everywhere I go, over lies, rumors, and slander, and having public pretenders who aren't going to do their job. They're just going to play fucking stupid. The homeless people need to be armed. They need to be able to defend themselves from the police and from the general public. You know, when Christopher Weaver was followed back to where he sleeps as a homeless person by 6 college kids, they tried to bash his skull in with a rock. It's too bad he didn't have a 45. They'd never tried that again. Of course, you can't carry anything that the police might try to twist or contort to say that you are trying to harm people. If you've got a fucking pocket knife, they try to pull that bullshit. Homeless means no fucking rights, you fucking bastards. Mentally ill means no fucking rights. Broke male, no rights. Broke white person, no rights. These are all situations that people of different genders and different colors, well, they get some reprieve from this shit because of their gender, because of their skin color. I don't get to say that I was targeted because of race, because I'm white. How racist is that? Motherfuckers.